Okay,
Hold on. It's preparing.
it's preparing. Okay, let me know when to start. Just be sitting here. Are we on there yet? Are we in the air yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where to go. Just to videos?
Okay, go.
Okay, we are live on YouTube. So welcome to five Chippy Chicks talking about hockey. We're going to talk about some of the hot issues of hockey, but we're coming at it from a little bit of a different viewpoint. We're all hockey romance authors. So we're going to talk about how we write about these things and books that we read about them or written about them. So let's all introduce ourselves. Kelly, do you want to start?
Sure. I'm Kelly Jameson. I am a romance author. I write contemporary romance and I write a lot of sports romance, specifically hockey romance. And I have been a hockey fan basically my whole life. Probably from the time I was in diapers, my parents put me in front of the TV to watch Hockey Night in Canada every Saturday night. And I just love the sport. And I love that I've been able to incorporate it into my fiction. And I love that I have been able to get together with fabulous authors like these ladies to do something like this.
Okay, and next, Danica, do you want to talk about yourself?
Sure. I'm Danica Flynn. I'm a new author. I only have 2 books. They're part of my hockey romance series set in Philadelphia, but I also write small town romance in Pennsylvania as well. I'm from Philadelphia, so it's like not a choice to like not be a sports fan in this area. But I will show my age a little bit. I think I'm the youngest here. I'm definitely a hockey fan because of Eric Lindros and the Mighty Ducks. Only those 2 things probably is why I'm a hockey fan. So I am actually the hockey fan in my family. Like my parents are like more Eagles and like Phils, but like I'm like the hockey fan.
Great. Okay, Stacey.
Hey everybody, I am Stacey Agner. I am a New Yorker and a New York Ranger fan. I am second generation, third generation. My grandfather used to watch games at the old Madison Square Garden. And I followed his tradition into the new one. I write contemporary romance, paranormal romance, mostly contemporary these days. Whether I'm writing shorts or single title stories, even though it might not be about hockey, hockey will always find its way into my books. I'm involved in the New York Empire series, and my Friendship and Festival series just had a release. Love and Latkes came out a couple weeks ago, and I can't help but write about hockey and talk about hockey. And I'm just really excited that my love of hockey and my hockey fandom has brought me into contact with so many amazing people and so many amazing hockey fans.
Great. Okay, now to Fortune, who's the newest hockey writer here.
I am the newest hockey writer. So I have a whole hockey book series. It doesn't come out till next year, starting in April. Born and raised in Calgary, so I had no choice then to talk about the Calgary Flames. I love everything we're talking about today because I think there's at least 3 Calgary Flames or former Flames on the docket. So I used to work, I also used to work at Coca-Cola, so it was all Flames all the time. It's a hockey city. I don't know if you guys remember back in 04 and 05, where we had the big giant hockey run. As part of that, I was 24 at the time. I'm also aging myself quite well. But yeah, no, it's all hockey all the time over here. And then I married a hockey player. He's a big Chicago fan, so I'm sure you don't have to talk to me about that. I also hate Chicago. That's it. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm so happy to meet you all. Just speaking to all of you for the last week has been amazing to know other romance authors that love hockey.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know Fortune was married to a hockey player. We're going to have to talk about that more sometime. Yeah. I'm Melanie Ting, and I am pretty hockey obsessed when it comes to writing. I've got different series, one about a team that I've called the Vancouver Vice, and then a new series that is about beer hockey league players. I live in Vancouver, and I am unfortunately a Vancouver Canucks fan. Oh, wait, we're supposed to wear jerseys, like we're supposed to wear stuff, but I don't have a jersey. So I just have my Canucks hat. So here you go. And so let's start talking about some topics. First of all, one thing that happened at the very beginning of the season, before games had even started, was that Robin Leonard went on Twitter and started talking about the pain medications that players have to take. We know hockey's a really rough sport. And then the other things that happened were that Carey Price suddenly pulled out, and we're not sure what happened there, if it's a problem of mental health or addiction. There was also the death of hockey player Jimmy Hayes. So we thought we would like to talk about serious injury, addiction, and those issues and how we approach it when we're writing about hockey romance. Maybe I'll also get Kelly to start again to talk about, because I know she's pretty passionate about this topic.
I am actually, and for anybody who's read my Bears hockey series will probably know about this. The series was based on a terrible tragedy, which that's not what our discussion is tonight, but all three of the heroes of the first three books had really a lot of mental health issues that they had to deal with because of that tragedy. And so a lot of it is about how men have a hard time with that, have a hard time admitting their feelings and dealing with those things, and have a hard time asking for help. So yeah, I am passionate about it. I was super, I love Carey Price. I think he's a great player, and I think he's a great person. And I was really, really sad when he pulled out and said that he'd, gone to the, what is it that he went to? Players assistant, I forget the name of it. Sorry. But on the other hand, I'm really glad that he did that, because I think it sets a really great example for other players that are struggling with whatever it might be. And I think there's probably lots of players that are. I mean, we've seen some of them lately. You mentioned Jimmy Hayes. We don't know what really happened with him, but there were probably addiction issues. And who was the other player that, like last year, Jonathan Drouin talked about problems that he had with anxiety and insomnia. And I mean, lots of people have those. So it only makes sense that a lot of hockey players would have them. But I think it's hard for a lot of guys to admit it and ask for help. So the other thing that struck me about, I was on Twitter that night that Robin Leonard was doing those tweets, and there were lots of comments. There were even lots of derogatory comments towards him, like, which I won't even repeat, but it was really kind of disturbing, because he's trying to bring attention to an issue that he thinks is a real issue. And it really made me feel like, as a hockey romance author, how we deal with those kinds of things in our books. To be honest, I don't deal a lot with drugs or drug abuse, or other than a couple of times maybe where it's been a secondary character, but I think it's pretty widely accepted that it goes on. So like, are we writing a romanticized version of the NHL in our books versus writing the stark reality of what happens? And do we want to write any differently than that? I don't know, but it made me think a lot about that.
Yeah, I think it is difficult. We had a bit of a discussion about this because of concussions. There's so many hockey players with concussions, but how do you write something like a severe concussion? I have written concussions into one of my books, but it was quite mild. If you have a severe one, if you're having mood swings and anger issues, it's really hard to write that happy ending in there afterwards. Like, what do you think, Stacey?
I think it all depends on what kind of conversations you want to have, right? Like, I think generally speaking, like, we have, as writers, a certain amount of pages, and we have to think about like what kind of stories we want to tell, like what kind of issues we want to talk about. And I think it is realistic to have conversations dealing with concussion, dealing with addiction issues. But at the same time, like, I think that we have to decide which issues we want to focus on, if that makes any sense at all. Like, we still want to write a book with a satisfying ending. We still want to write a strong story. We still want to sort of create this wonderful, this happy ever after, or HFN at the end. And we also want to be realistic. And I think every author has to think about that balance and what that balance is going to be, if that makes sense at all.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, because it's rough. What do you think, Fortune? Is there something you think about when you're reading a hockey romance? Would you like it to be realistic, or would you like it to be a fantasy?
Well, it's always going to be a little bit of a fantasy, but kind of dealing with those issues and to give it the page room. Like, for example, I have a character in my book who he's the hero of the third book, but he's the brother of both the two. And he's actually a very compelling character. His character arc spans all 3 books. And that was the only way I knew how to give him the page space to deal with his anger issues, his, the career that he never got to have, and all those things. So like Stacey said, it's about the conversation you want to have. And we're lucky that we're allowed to, have these entire worlds. Like, it doesn't have to be just the one book. Or you can keep having the same conversation. It might be a different character, but the same type of hero. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I think there has to be kind of a balance between both, because we know for that character, especially one that's suffering from depression, anxiety, from CTE, from the pressure to play through the pain, for all those expectations. Like, maybe a one book arc isn't realistic, but maybe a 3-book arc or a 5-book arc might, give it a little bit more page room. And then also having more than one person writing it. So like right here, we have 5 people writing multiple books.
Mhm.
So the more we talk about it, maybe the more it's, I don't want to say it's normalized, but the more the conversation is out there.
Yeah. Yeah, and you bring up a good point. Sometimes it's not your main character, but maybe their best friend has an issue, and that's the way you can bring it into the story. It doesn't have to necessarily be the hero.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Danica?
Yeah, like I don't really put like the drug use or anything into it. And I was even thinking about like books that do, like thinking back ones. And like there's been a couple that have been new adult, but it's always been like recreational. It wasn't like they really had a problem. It's like they're in college type of thing. But I also remember Parker from Gillian Quinn. That's like the first book in her Face Off series. Parker has an alcohol problem. And the plot is that the heroine is his agent, and she's like trying to clean up his act, and she's like trying to get him clean. So that was interesting, but I can't really remember any like major ones that were coming to mind that like handle that. I know I don't shy away from talking about like head injuries and concussions, and I think that also comes from the fact that I grew up watching Eric Lindros, so like that's always in the back of my mind when it comes to like hockey. But I don't have like any characters that have had a major concussion. It's just like always talking about it or like mentioning it. Like the coach of my team had bad concussion, so he's very mindful with his players. Like, you have to go do concussion protocol. Like you have to do that. And I have a set of siblings that their dad left hockey because of concussions. So I definitely am bringing in like some of my own experiences just being a Flyers fan and like knowing what's happened to Lindros, what's happened to Pronger, like what happened to Nolan Patrick, like that's always in the back of my mind. But I don't think it's like a major plot point. But being a hockey fan, I can't like just not mention it. Like,
Yeah.
but I do think at a point we are a little bit doing a fantasy, but it's fiction, it's romance. We want to give people that happily ever after at the end. So we do have to kind of make those decisions on what is going to be our major conflicts in our books.
To do that. Yeah, I read Kate Willoughby's Out of the Game, whereas a player suffers a catastrophic injury during the game, and then it's how he deals. He gets really angry that he has to quit the game. And I actually beta read it, and I had I messaged Kate and I said, I hate this. I can't believe you did this to him. He's my favorite player. Can you change the ending? She says, no, Mel, that has to be that way. But I'm like, oh, he was such a nice guy. But that's the way you see you identify with the hero. And then if they're having this awful ending, it's really bad. So has anyone else read books that they think would fall into this category around injury or addiction?
I did read, it wasn't a hockey romance, it was a college football romance, I think. And I can't remember the author. I'm sorry. I wish I'd been better prepared.
We can always add things into
We can add it in the
after.
comments. I thought it was really well handled. He does get into an addiction issue because of pain medications, and it doesn't have the neat and tidy happy ending that you might think, but it's still a happy and satisfying ending. I'll try to find the name of that book. I'm sure it's in my Kobo-s.
Yeah. Anybody else have books that they think would work into this genre?
Sure.
If not, have you got something, Stacey?
Yeah, Kristen Callahan, the first book in her football series, new adult football. The hero suffers a huge injury in a really, really big game. He's the quarterback of the university football team. And like, he's got to deal with, I forget the title of the book, it's going to drive me nuts.
Yeah.
But it's, as I said, it's the first book in Kristen Callahan's football series. Hero, lovely, sweet guy, quarterback, like life is perfect. And then all of a sudden, like it's not perfect, and he has this catastrophic injury on the field, and it's like a process. And like through the pages of the book, like he goes through stages of dealing with it. Sometimes not so much. And in the end, he has to go to therapy. He ends up having a professional career, but like at the very end of like, it's, he doesn't go high in the draft, like, because he's got injury issues. And so like, there is that moment where they don't think he's going to make it. And it's realistic. It's that sort of realistic moment. Of like, I think he got like picked like third round or something in the football draft at what point after like going to therapy, dealing with not just physical therapy, but also seeing a therapist, sort of like, and dealing with his mental issues, because clearly someone who is expected to be the perfect golden boy, who ends up having this catastrophic injury, is going to have to deal with the mental sort of questions and sort of like questioning his own sort of life, really, that comes with that. And I think actually that kind of reminds me of like the pressure, because if you felt like it actually makes me think of Jonathan Drouin, because if you think about him and his career and like World Juniors and like Quebec being all excited about him, and then him ending up in Tampa and then going to Montreal, and the pressure of being like a francophone player in Montreal, like huge pressure.
Yeah.
The Rangers just played the Canadians, and so like part of that sort of question was watching Alexis Lafrenière, play in Montreal, like the extra pressure. So like, if you think about that pressure on someone who's playing for the Canadians, like, it must have been a lot. And for Drouin to be like, yes, I stepped away because of all of this pressure.
Yeah.
I think Montreal is the highest pressure market, because they have, not only intense interest in hockey, but they've got two sets of media. You've got the French media and the English media both coming down on you, and,
Yes.
constant reporters. And so, yeah, it's probably the toughest for everyone, for the players and the GM, apparently. So,
yeah. Fortune said something that struck me was about the playing through pain thing, how, hockey players are really, they're known for doing that, right? Like they break their leg and yet they finish their shift.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and they celebrate that instead of like a normal person would say, "Are you crazy? Like, go to the hospital."
And there's sort of two aspects to that I think plays into this, and one of them is, well, playing through the pain and probably taking a lot of drugs to do it, like pain medications, which can lead to problems. Like we've all seen the narcotics issues. We know what happens. And the other is just that that mentality about playing through pain. So even if the pain isn't physical, even if the pain is mental that you're going through, they're still encouraged to play through that pain, I think.
Yes. So two things.
To do that. Well, yeah, I think that's what you said initially. You saw the comments on Robin Lehner's tweets, and I think a lot of those are hockey men that say, don't be a distraction, be quiet, be part of the team, and things like. And I have heard hockey pundits saying that, oh, Vegas isn't doing well because he was such a distraction to the team. So it's almost like you're not allowed to talk about those things. So anyway.
I definitely think like the younger generation is starting to talk about it more. And I know like Robin has been very has started to really open up about his own struggles. So I think that's great because it can help other people that might be having the same struggles as him. It just really bothered me that people were like immediately like being armchair like therapists when he was doing that, because you don't know what his mental state was. You have no idea. But it was clearly something important for him to talk about.
To do that.
Yeah.
I think it's true. I mean, the difference is I think a lot of retired players have said these things for years, but to have players that are currently playing say these things, I think it's a good step forward.
Yeah.
Okay, so next we're going to move on to a lighter topic. Toronto and Arizona have both changed the dress code. They relaxed the rule about wearing suits to games. So show me with the vote of hands, who thinks this is a good idea? Okay, we like men in suits.
I think I have two different opinions about it. Like, I like the suits, but I also, someone brought it up that like hockey players don't really have personalities. Like we call it hockey answers when they're in an interview because they don't say anything. You don't know anything about them. And like, so someone, I don't even know who it was on Twitter, was like, I kind of like it because then it gives them the opportunity to like express their personalities a little bit more with like their fashion. But like I felt like some of them were already doing that with what the suits they would wear. I feel like Austin Matthews was already doing that, like because he's like a really fashionable guy, like, and I feel like some of the other Maple Leafs were like that too. My team, I do not want them to do it because it's a bunch of Canadian farm boys and they would just wear backwards hats. Like it, like I'm serious. Like I just like know the Flyers would not really like. I think G wouldn't let them though. Like I think the captain would just be like, no, you have to still wear the suits or something. Like,
well, I think in the lead in Hockey Night in Canada, they did have a talk about that, and they were saying, oh, they can express their personalities, but all the Leafs seem to be doing was taking off their ties. Okay, I'll express myself by taking off my tie. So I think a lot of Canadian farm boys there too. I mean, and they look good in the suit. So what do you think, Fortune? Do you like the suits?
Sorry. So personally, I do like the suits. And when we were kind of talking about this, I went through to see what people were wearing, and they all look the same. I think one of the pictures I gave you guys was a Swedish player with his backwards hat. So I'm not sure. I think it's just they're just used to wearing things on their head maybe. But I kind of wanted to talk. Sorry, I just wanted to like kind of relate this dress code thing to a little bit of what we were talking previously, if I can, how there's like an expectation of the players. So even though even though they say you don't have to wear a suit anymore, like they're just going to take off the tie because they still feel the expectation to wear the suit. And I just kind of to bring up, so when I went to university, I had a friend and she talked about kind of the hyper sexualization of female athletes. So they have this kind of the same expectation to like look like, you know, have their hair all nice. So I don't know if that's all part and parcel of like the whole package of being in the public persona. Sorry, I really drew it back into something heavy, a little bit heavy. I really am sorry about that, but I just thought it was all like really connected in that way. Yes.
But I think it could be your routine too. Like if you're used to taking a nap, taking a shower, getting in your suit, whatever, then you're maybe not going to feel ready for the game. But I think Kelly Rudy made a good point and said, they should stop doing it for kids because it's really expensive. Like if you're getting like a 10-year-old or what, not 10-year-old, I guess you'd be like 12 or 14 if you're in rep hockey and you have to wear a suit to the game. And then the next year it's not going to fit, right? Because they're going to be bigger. It's kind of crazy. But then if you've worn it all those years, like for suddenly to say, oh, I'm going to the game in my tracksuit, you might feel like you're going to practice or something. I don't know. Stacey, I can see you have an idea. Here.
So one of the wonderful things that's happened this year for New York Rangers coverage is that Henrik Lundqvist has joined the Madison Square Garden Network's team, which is kind of amazing. So needless to say, like when we're watching intermission, we get to see Steve Valiquette and Henrik Lundqvist and John Juno and sort of have these conversations. And of course, when we think about hockey players in suit, one of the top players that we think about is Henrik Lundqvist. And it was interesting for him to listen to his perspective on the dress code. And basically what he was saying, this kind of ties into what you were saying, Mel, where it's part of the routine, but it also ties into what you were saying, Fortune, in certain ways, because as Henrik was talking about it, like for him, it puts him into the mode of the game. Sort of this idea of like wearing a suit mentally makes the switch. And Steve Valiquette told a story. And again, if I mess it up, my apologies. It is my fault, not his. Anyway, so Steve Valiquette was telling a story of how the Rangers were on a road trip that ended up in Russia. And there was a day where the dress code was relaxed. The dress code was, relaxed, and a lot of the players went on the bus in their games in tracksuits. It did not go well for Henrik. The next day, he was in his suit, and the rest of the team was in their tracksuits because it helped him get into the mode of the game. And when you think about it, like, and I was thinking about this earlier, and this is kind of one of the things that I was thinking about before, is that like we are writers. We have tons of ways of getting into our writing headspace. Whether we plot or pants or listen to music with words or without words or just noise in the background, you have as many methods of getting into a story as you do people writing them. And I feel like relaxing the dress code will allow the players to find their own ways of doing that. Yes, personally, I like watching the suits. And I think even more so now that much more of team social media, taking photos and realizing that people actually want to see these pictures of hockey players in suits. But people will find their personalities, whether they're, some of them will still wear suits because it's comfortable for them and that's what they like. Some won't. And it'll be interesting to see. Like, I think, what was it, Mitch Marner? Was it Mitch Marner who wore the Mickey Mouse shirt or something like that to the game? I saw a random photo. I don't know. Yeah,
I avoid Leaf stuff.
I think it's awesome. And I think it's just a really cool thing. So
I've definitely written scenes where the heroine sees the hero in a suit for the game and she's like, whoa.
Yeah,
it looks better than normal. Has anyone else done that?
I've done
Yeah.
I have a whole scene. Yeah, a whole giant scene.
My friend Emily Bunny had her first book. The heroine is like the coach's assistant, and she had like a one-night stand with this player. And she had no idea who he was, at the time. And she has a scene where he's like trying to like get with her, like he's like interested, and she's like, no, I can't because I work for the team. And like he asked her to like go suit shopping with him. And I love that scene because it's just so because it's like a thing they have to do. They have to get them like perfectly tailored for themselves. Yeah, I've definitely
get that hockey butt too.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yes. I often have scenes in my book where she sees the hero for the first time in a suit and she's like, because I personally love that contrast of the sweaty, smelly athlete that's out there slamming people into the boards. And then he's like all suave and sophisticated in a suit. And it's like, an amazing contrast. I like the players in suits on game day personally. I like the tradition of it because I have been a hockey fan for many, many, many years. not aging myself. And I think I like the professionalism of it. So, you know, when they show them arriving at the arena, and they probably wouldn't do it if they all walked in sweatpants, but when they show them arriving at the arena all dressed up, it's like, this is serious. This is my job. I'm here to do a job and take this seriously.
I do have like a male makeover in one of my books, Mr. November, where it's the AHL. So they don't have the money and everything, but he likes this girl. And so his teammates band together to help him. And the two French Canadian guys are like, we don't want you to look like the unmade bed anymore. We're going to, they take him to a nice place.
So the Flyers have like an ugly suit. Like one game they pick where they're supposed to wear like ugly suits, and because the only reason I know about this is because Carter Hart talked about it, because he's like, they're like, you wear that all the time. He's like, I have 3 suits. Like, what do you want from me? Which, like, that was funny to read because I didn't really know Carter's like personality that much yet. Because he's a goaltender. You know, those goaltenders, they're a little weird. Different.
Cool. What do female hockey players wear to games?
I do not know that.
I haven't really seen it that much.
I mean, I don't necessarily, like, I know, like, I've seen players like going to get coffee before games, you know, in photos, like that's the emphasis, not necessarily so much what they're wearing, which I think I like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember, like, there was,
I feel like Packer did something.
Yeah.
Like
I'm trying to remember, there was, so when the Riveters played at the Prudential Center, one of the years, they had a signing afterwards, where the team literally like sat on this long extended bench, and I think this was part of their practice for when they were playing these big games, and like they waited, they had everybody was waiting, like the line was like ridiculously long, and like everybody was like there to get the players to sign, because that's, you know, that's the emphasis, right? Like to make sure that like everybody, that they know, like because they know that people came long distances and whatnot to see them, and so it was like this big, really cool thing. And I'm trying to remember what they were wearing.
Well, I did research because I had a female hockey player here, but I don't know. They just wear tracksuits like the teams, even the rep teams. But But for professional teams, I didn't know if they'd be different. I mean, you can't be wearing a skirt and high heels and hauling your hockey bag anywhere.
This is true. Although I don't know about professional women teams, but the men don't haul hockey bags anywhere.
Yeah.
That's all done for them.
Yeah. And I think, Fortune, you had one point about suits and behavior, like it was in the NBA or something that.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's the same thing. So I do believe that like Team Canada does play here, for women's hockey, not where I live in Canmore, but out in Calgary, if I'm not mistaken. But I do believe they do wear at least pantsuits for sure. I don't know about high heels, but definitely pantsuits. Yeah, I was going to talk about just the same thing about how there is that whole expectation of what a professional athlete is supposed to look like. Either they make millions of dollars, so they should look good, and it's really for our entertainment, but it's not. Like I feel like they do might get treated a little bit like not, I don't want to say circus animals, but like a lot of times athletes, they because we're going and watching entertainment, that they're part of the entertainment, when really they've worked really hard their whole lives. These are people who have they work hard. It's not by accident that they're there, and to treat them in that way, it's not very nice. It's not a nice thing for sure. And I think that also goes back to having those peak performances, to play through the pain, to be part of the team. We just saw it in the summer, Simone Biles. It's not like it's it's prevalent throughout all of the sports. Do you know what I mean? So if somebody doesn't want to wear a suit anymore, I'm there for that. But if you want to, and be on the cover of GQ, I'm also about that. I just think they should have more agency kind of over themselves, really. I keep bringing this back to like very terrible things. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to be so. I didn't mean to be such a Debbie
I guess your books are quite serious then. I can't wait to read that.
There's a lot of shopping. There's a lot of shopping in my books too for suits. So there are some light moments.
I just wrote like a newsletter builder not a newsletter builder, like a newsletter, like a special like Christmas story for like my newsletter. And like I wrote that he's like wearing a ridiculous Christmas suit because like I love when they do that too, because it's just fun. Like, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna write that in. Like this is Christmas Eve.
Yeah, those printed ones with the trees and
those are so funny. And it's nice that they can like sometimes not take themselves so seriously.
Yeah.
Side note, speaking of not taking yourself so seriously and special suits, I wanted to actually give a shout out to, I think it's Pro-Am Sports in Edmonton, who made like the jersey of my like hockey dreams. So like, let me step back a second. So like when Zach Hyman was playing for Toronto, one of the things I desperately wanted was Zach Hyman jersey in Hebrew, because that was the thing I desperately wanted, because again, like when we talk about like personality and players, one of the things that I was really excited about was that we had like, a higher Jewish player, and it was kind of awesome. And so this year, the same company that made Ethan Bear's Cree jersey, which is as I said, Pro-Am Sports in Edmonton, made a Zach Hyman Hebrew jersey.
Yay!
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Did you order it?
I think I remember you tweeting that, and I was like, oh, that's really cool.
I was deliriously excited. I did not know about that, and then I think Nicole Sherman, who tweeted it at me, and then someone responded to her, I think. But anyway, I found out, and like it is my dream to get this jersey. So thank you guys for making.
You haven't ordered one yet. You're gonna have to wear it on one of our live streams.
Yes, when I obtain one.
Maybe if you say Pro-Am Sports enough, they'll send you one, and then you can wear it on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this show is so big. Apparently we did the 7 people. We had a big run on those Hyman jerseys. I don't know what Okay. We are going to, except I forgot to do this, I gotta say. Luckily, I'm moderating, so I won't call on myself. We are going to make a prediction. First, we thought, should we predict who is going to win the cup this year? But then we thought, well, it's too easy to say like Tampa or Colorado. So
that was my pick, Colorado.
You can't do it. You have to say like something crazy like the Winnipeg Jets.
My bold prediction for the cup this year is the Panthers, because of Spencer Knight. I'm really excited. I'm really excited about a lot of the brand new players.
Spencer Knight? Why? Sorry, I don't know anything about him. Why him?
Does somebody chime in?
No.
About Spencer Knight? Oh, no, I just hear a lot of buzz around him. And I kind of like the Panthers. That's my bold prediction. That's all it is.
Yeah.
They're going to get the best. They're going to win the President's Trophy, and then they're going to win the cup. Okay. Don't quote me on that. However, if you win any money, please send some my way.
Okay. I mean, I shouldn't be asking people to justify their bold prediction, right? It's just like instinct, and they should just go for it. Okay. Danica, what's your bold prediction?
That's funny. I was going to say the Panthers too, and only because Jillian Fisher said it, and she said the reason why she was saying it is because it just seems so ridiculous. Like I don't want it to be Tampa again, and I just want the cup to be as far south as possible. I thought that was a funny reason. Like I was like, I don't know, maybe like it's definitely not going to be the Flyers. I will admit that.
Have the Panthers ever won?
I don't think so.
I don't think they have, No.
I don't
know. They need to like get some fans though. Yeah. Like it's a real problem.
Haven't they started off really well this year though?
Yeah, they have.
No.
And I think
Yeah, we just lost to them, and I was like, really?
No, they're good. They're better. They keep getting better, so it's good. Okay, Stacey, do you have a bold prediction of who will win the cup?
so. Let's see. I'm thinking about it, and I want to see Seattle succeed. I want to see them get out of the West. But I agree. I know. I don't think it's gonna, again, bold prediction, right? Like,
Sorry, I shouldn't have made a face. We just played them last night, so
right? Like,
it could happen. Yes.
exactly. I mean, granted, they changed the rules to keep Vegas, keep another Vegas from happening, but like, I think it's possible. But I think I agree with everybody else's bold prediction. So it's not necessarily so bold, but I like the idea of Florida winning the cup, if only to throw it in the face of Tampa. And also increase those rivalry games. But one of the things that I love about the Panthers these days is how I think they hosted that tournament. Was it the Marigold tournament? I think that was called. Like where
What is that?
Countries from Central and South America and Middle East played in Florida in Sunrise. Was it Sunrise? Wherever the Florida Panthers have their arena. And it was a really interesting and really, really cool tournament. I know that Puerto Rico won on the women's side, and I don't know who won on the men's, but it was a really, really cool tournament.
Cool.
So that adds to my excitement over Florida.
Oh, good. Kelly, what's your bold prediction?
Well, I am not excited over Florida.
Well, I mean, it's not bold if you say Florida too. They're like, oh, everyone.
I'm gonna be really bold, and I'm gonna say Jets are gonna win the cup. They started off kind of slow, but things can pick up, and it's really early in the season.
Okay.
And everybody keeps talking about how on paper they have the pieces to do it, but paper is different from real life. So
I mean, I was going to say the Jets too. That was actually when I was trying to hurriedly think of a prediction, because I do think that, they just have to get through. Like, where did they go out usually in the first round?
First, second, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but they've got all the pieces and they've got a really good goaltending, right? So I don't know. I think that could be mine too. Although I think it's not that bold, because I think Frank Sarabelli said it too. So like,
what?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Daily News. So.
Okay. All right, and how are we doing time-wise? Okay.
I'm going to tell you guys in the chat, we've got some people who don't want the Jets to win.
Oh, okay. I can't see the comments. Have we got any questions yet?
No question, but
okay.
Just no Jets.
Some tears, just no Jets. Some tears might
no
happen.
Jets. Okay.
We'll check back at the end of the year.
No anti-Florida comments.
I just knew. I'm like, I'm not gonna say the Flyers because I know my team.
I mean, I'm gonna be lucky if the Rangers make it out of the Metro. Like, definitely a Metro.
Yeah. So Philly has two speeds. We're cocky or distraught. Like, we don't have we do not. Like, it's just like, we're like, oh, we're doing really well. And then it's like, no, we suck.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have.
I think that's like the Jets too. It's like, as soon as they've lost 2 games in a row, it's like, we gotta fire the coach.
Yeah, it's like, sorry, the coach, Carter Hart is cooked. Like, blah, blah, blah. It's like,
we can't take any more of this.
We have a great goal. Like, that's like, we have a lot of amazing things, but primarily we have a wonderful goaltender, and like who is standing on his head. And this goaltender has an adorable puppy. Igor Shesterkin is brilliant, but also his puppy's Instagram account is amazing. But like, yeah, like yet again, like we've got a brand new coach, we've got a brilliant goaltender, and we've got a team that's trying to figure itself out. And I love, you can't, but I would very much like it if they got out of the Metro. Do I think it's going to happen? No. I love my voice. It's not.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, you don't see me saying the Canucks are going to win anything. So it's okay. Oh, and we're going to detour for a second, do something visual. We're going to show you our picks for the men in suits. But I did I was listening to the 32 Thoughts podcast, and Elliot Friedman started talking about a player who was so hot that he will not let his wife look at the guy's Instagram account. And his name is Oliver Shillington. And just before, because I wasted a lot of time Googling that, that's Shillington, but it's spelled Kyling. So I've got our on-the-spot Calgary Flames reporter to tell us more about him.
Yeah, so is that supposed to be me? I just
That's supposed to be you.
because just like the rest of you, the Flames have two speeds, do really well for 80% of the season and then, drop off or just be terrible for the whole season. And I'm not sure what where Calgary is at the moment. However, I did look this guy up. So he was drafted a few years ago and he's played in Stockton and he just made the team a couple weeks ago. So I'm really excited about him. I do agree with Elliot. He is quite good looking. And he's got kind of a background I've never heard of. It's not that I've never heard of it. He's half Swedish and half Eritrean, which if I'm just going to plug my friend's book, Jada Sola James, she wrote a book that came out with Eritrean born hero and heroine for Carina Press just a couple months ago. So I thought that was a really cool tie-in. But I'm really excited about him. Can we show him? Do you have the pictures up?
I don't have him. I just have the suits. But
You don't have the suits?
yeah, I didn't have him in there.
Okay,
And while
people can look him up and have the pleasure of looking up his Instagram account.
So
do you have
that's
do you know what his...
that's like Shay. Every time I look at his name, I'm like, no, that's not.
I know.
Like my brain malfunctions.
Can you spell that name again?
Oh, I can. Let me hold on. I have it written down. I have it written down specifically. He does have a Wikipedia. So it's Oliver. So it's if you see it read, it's Kylington, Kyling but it's pronounced Shillington.
Okay.
But weird, like the weirdest thing since Sade.
You did break my friend's brain earlier when we were looking it up. I apologize. I'm so sorry, Sarah. Also, can I just take a moment? I would like to apologize to Brandy because she said she'd cry happy tears if the Jets won, not sad ones.
Oh.
Yes, Brandy, where are your questions? You promised to ask a million questions. So. That's what happens when you chat on Facebook before the thing. Okay, Danica, show us men in suits, please.
Okay, so we put together our picks for suits. So I obviously put JVR for me because he's with his cute daughter and he had his 800th game this week. So that is who I picked. And
there's a lot of plaid.
I love plaid. So like it's kind of interesting.
There is a lot of plaid.
It's a lot
in the choices. Yeah.
And then you have to tell me who the Canucks player is because
well, you know what? The Canucks were so changed and they changed the photographer, so I couldn't find anyone. So I had to go to last year. One of my fave players who's now an LA King is Alexander Edler. I don't know. It's my impression that Swedes look better dressed in general than Canadian Americans.
I think those Europeans do have some style. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. And that's interesting because we have Hank, of course, like Henry.
Of course.
Yeah. And then what?
No, I was gonna say I had sent a picture of Keandre Miller, who is looking amazing in the suits he chooses. I love the colors that he leans into, but when I saw the picture outside of MSG Studios, I'm like, oh yeah, we got return the season.
We got to put him. Yeah,
he looks like a model. I mean, I would buy whatever he was selling.
Right.
And then we have UC Roman Josie. Am I saying his name right? I don't know. I don't know anyone on that team.
Roman Josie.
Josie, I think it is.
Yeah, it's like spelled weird. And then Kelly, I didn't know who your pick was.
That is Adam Lowry with the Jets, of course. I picked that picture just because I thought those were bold choices. The red plaid jacket with the purplish striped tie and the kind of khaki pants. It's like, you know, they get to, you can show some personality with your suit choices too. Yeah.
It's so funny that we have a lot of plaid. I didn't even think I want to put this together. I was just dropping them in. But yes,
Okay.
I wanted to pull them out and show them to everyone. So I'm going to stop sharing so we can see.
I have a picture of Oliver if you want me to share it.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Sorry, Oliver. If you ever see this.
I doubt it.
Is that him?
Yeah, that's not a great photo.
Well, you know, a lot of the headshots that they do are not the greatest.
Yeah.
Who is it?
Oh, that's a nice smile.
Yes.
Stop share. Okay.
Okay, so now we have our shameless self-promotion section where if we have like a book that's coming out or something seasonal or whatever, we get to talk about it. So who would like to promote something?
Stacey just had a book out.
Yes. So before I talk about the amazing Love and Latkes, I want to send a special birthday shout out to Renee Hess, who is the founder of Black Girl Hockey Club. She has done amazing work and with the organization and their Get Uncomfortable pledge. If you have not taken that pledge, go to their website and take that pledge now. But I would be amiss at the moment without talking about
Put it in front of your face.
Yeah.
Oh, it's disappearing.
Love and Latkes. Love and Latkes is the third book in my Friendship and the Festival series from Chippy Publishing, available wherever books are sold. One of the fun things about this book is that, yes, there is actually hockey content in it. A very important and pivotal scene between our hero Abe and a new friend of his, Jacob, who is the hero of book 2, History of Us, happens over lunch. Where they talk about the empires and the story that the conversation references my story that appears in an anthology called Roughing It, which also features stories by Isabel Kelly, Kenzie McLear.
Okay, Dana, do you have a book coming out, or do you want to promote a different book?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I have a Christmas book coming out in December, but it's not hockey. So, but
Tell us anyway.
Yeah.
I'm so chaotic. So I have a series that I'm writing, a hockey series, and I decided to start another series at the same time. Don't recommend doing that. It's a brewery series. It's about a brewery in a small town outside of Philadelphia. So the first book is about the brewmaster, and he owns this brewery with his younger brother. His brother does the business side, and he makes the beer. It's an accidental pregnancy between these two people who have kind of had a casual thing going on, and they have an oops, and it's about them trying to actually talk about their feelings with each other, because they both have feelings for each other, but will not talk to each other about it. So, and it's Christmas. He's kind of a Grinch, and she's the queen of Christmas. So it's kind of fun to do that. But that comes out December 7th.
Okay, and Fortune, we can pre-order your book now?
Yeah, you can pre-order my book. I don't know if somebody has the thing, I don't, but it's called Stuck With You from Chippy Publishing. It comes out April 5th. My website, fortunemaryland.com, has all of the links. So this story is, there's a hockey player, he's retired. He has a new roommate, and the roommate she doesn't know that he's coming. She rented the place from his brother. And when she freaks out because he's the guy she's crushed on her whole life, over in Vancouver, they played for Vancouver, although the team has never, ever said who they are, just the Vancouver hockey team. So yeah, Stuck With You, April 5th next year. I'm excited.
Great.
Awesome.
Kelly, you have something new coming out.
I have a book coming out on Tuesday.
Woo.
It's a Christmas story called Hate Me Under the Mistletoe. So it's snowed in a blizzard, one bed, enemies to lovers romance. She's totally done with Christmas because every Christmas turns out crappy for her. She's just got dumped. She's got some other bad news. And he loves Christmas. So they're grumpy sunshine, but she's the grumpy one and he's the sunshine. Yeah, it's just the season. The heroine of the story is Amy Heller, who is one of the second generation Heller family, having a hard time living up to the Heller image, but she has her own successes and qualities too. So that comes out Tuesday. Hate Me Under the Mistletoe. Oh wait, I can share the cover image.
Yay.
There it is. Isn't that pretty?
Yeah, that's really nice. I love it.
Looking
I've
good.
heard great things from your ARC readers about it, so I'm excited to read it.
Oh, I love me a good Kelly Jameson. Okay, and
Thank
finally,
you.
me. Can we see this?
Yeah.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a Halloween book, and so
Oh, and it's so good.
yeah, it's got an indie rock musician. It's got a Japanese Canadian heroine, and he is also a beardly goalie. So if you like rock star hockey player books, it's not as good as those because it's several layers down, more realistic.
It is
Anyway,
good.
I hope that everyone watching has enjoyed this. We've definitely had fun, I think. And we are
Yeah.
going to do this again. We're planning to do it once a month. It depends, I guess, on the kind of feedback we get. If you have comments or suggestions for us, we have a Gmail address, and that's Fortune, it's 5, the number 5.
Yep. Number 5 chippychicks@gmail.com.
Okay, so you can write to us there. You can leave us comments. Do we have any questions before I sign off finally? I can't see the comments on my phone, so.
Nope.
Okay, perfect.
But rock musicians are yay.
Okay. Good. And so we're planning to do this Sunday, November 21st again. So we'll be keeping track, trying to do the issues, maybe serious ones, fun ones, and talk about books some more. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thanks to everybody who came and watched. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Right.